Cuban President Raúl Castro also spoke at today's Mandela Memorial. In an unprecedented exchange at the memorial, President Obama shook Castro's hand as Obama made his way to speak. This is President Raúl Castro.
Presidente Jacob Zuma, familiares de Nelson Mandela, altos dignatarios, hermano pueblo de Sudáfrica.
President Jacob Zuma, relatives of Nelson Mandela, distinguished dignitaries, fraternal people of South Africa.
Rendimos emocionado tributo a Nelson Mandela, a quien se reconoce como símbolo supremo de dignidad y de consagración inclaudicable a la lucha revolucionaria por la libertad y la justicia, como un profeta de la unidad, la reconciliación y la paz.
Let us pay emotional tribute to Nelson Mandela, the ultimate symbol of dignity and unwavering dedication to the revolutionary struggle for freedom and justice, a prophet of unity, peace and reconciliation.
Junto a sus compañeros de lucha, dirigió a su pueblo en la batalla contra la apartheid para abrir el camino hacia una nueva Sudáfrica no racial y unida en la búsqueda de la felicidad, la igualdad y el bienestar de todos sus hijos, para superar las secuelas del colonialismo, la esclavitud y la segregación racial.
I can hold it, okay. Sorry. Alongside his comrades in the struggle, Mandela has led his people in the battle against apartheid to open the way to a new South Africa, a non-racial and a united South Africa in its quest for happiness, equality, and the well-being of all of its children, a nation bent on overcoming the consequences of colonialism, slavery, and racial segregation.
Ejemplo de integridad y perseverancia, encabezó luego el esfuerzo dirigido a la eliminación de la pobreza, la reducción de la desigualdad y la creación de oportunidades para todos.
Setting an example of integrity and perseverance, Mandela later headed the efforts to eradicate poverty, reduce inequality, and create opportunities for all.
Mandela es un ejemplo insuperable para América Latina y el Caribe, que avanzan hacia la unidad e integración en beneficio de sus pueblos, respetuosos de su diversidad, con la convicción de que el diálogo y la cooperación son el camino para la solución de las diferencias y la convivencia civilizada de quienes piensan distinto.
Mandela has set out an insurmountable example to Latin America and the Caribbean, which are currently moving towards unity and integration for the benefit of their peoples, on the basis of respect for diversity, and convinced that it is only through dialogue and cooperation that discrepancies can be resolved in a civilized relationship established between those who think differently.
La humanidad no podrá responder a los colosales desafíos que amenazan su propia existencia si no lo hace mediante una nueva concertación de esfuerzos entre todas las naciones, como la vida de Mandela preconiza.
As Mandela's life teaches us, only the concerted efforts of all nations will empower humanity to respond to the enormous challenges that today threaten its very existence.
Cuba, que lleva en sus venas sangre africana, surgió en la lucha por la independencia y por la abolición de la esclavitud, y posteriormente ha tenido el privilegio de combatir y construir junto a las naciones africanas.
Cuba, a country born in the struggle for independence and for the abolition of slavery, and whose children have African blood in their veins, has had the privilege of fighting and building alongside the African nations.
Jamás olvidaremos el emocionado homenaje de Mandela a nuestra lucha común cuando nos visitó el 26 de julio de 1991 y dijo: el pueblo cubano ocupa un lugar especial en el corazón de los pueblos de África.
We shall never forget Mandela's moving homage to our common struggle when, on the occasion of his visit to our country on July 26, 1991, he said, and I quote, "The Cuban people have a special place in the hearts of the peoples of Africa."
Recuerdo su entrañable amistad con Fidel Castro, símbolo de la hermandad entre africanos y cubanos, quien expresó: Nelson Mandela no pasará a la historia por los 27 años consecutivos que vivió allí encarcelado, sin ceder jamás en sus ideas. Pasará porque fue capaz de arrancar de su alma todo el veneno que pudo crear tan injusto castigo. Por la generosidad y la sabiduría con que en la hora de la victoria ya incontenible supo dirigir tan brillantemente su abnegado y heroico pueblo, conociendo que la nueva Sudáfrica no podría jamás construirse sobre cimientos de odio y de venganza.
I remember at this moment his bond of affection with Fidel Castro, a symbol of the fraternal relations between Africans and Cubans. Fidel has said, and I quote, "Nelson Mandela will not go down in history for the 27 consecutive years he spent incarcerated without ever renouncing his ideas. He will go down in history because he was capable of cleaning up his soul from the poison that such an unfair punishment could have planted there, and for his generosity and wisdom, which at the time of victory allowed him to lead with great talent his selfless and heroic people, knowing that the new South Africa could not be built on hatred and vengeance."
Cuban President Raúl Castro speaking at today's memorial for South African President Nelson Mandela. Before we go to break, let's go back to that moment in 1991 that Raúl Castro just described when Mandela traveled to Cuba to meet then-President Fidel Castro.
Before we say anything,
antes de hablar absolutamente de cualquier tema,
you must tell me when you are coming to South
me
Africa.
tiene que decir cuándo viene para Sudáfrica.
You say, no, pasa un momento.
No, un momentito.
Es seguro, sí, yo recibí.
The sooner the better.
And we have had a visit from a wide
Y nos ha
variety of
visitado una
people.
gran cantidad de personas.
And our friend Cuba,
Y nuestro amigo Cuba,
which helped us in training our people,
que nos ayudó a entrenar a nuestra gente,
gave us resources to
que nos
get
dio
on with our
recursos,
struggle,
que nos ayudaron tanto en nuestra
trained
lucha,
our people
que
as
entrenó a nuestros
doctors and so
combatientes, a
on.
nuestros médicos.
You have not come to our country.
Cuba no ha venido a visitarnos, usted no ha ido a visitar.
When are you coming?
¿Cuándo viene?
No he visitado a mi patria
I
surafricana.
haven't visited my South African homeland
La
yet.
quiero como una patria.
I love it as a
Quiero por él.
homeland.
That was Nelson Mandela in 1991, soon after he was released from jail, visiting President Fidel Castro in Cuba, thanking him for his support. The United States had provided surveillance intelligence to the apartheid regime in the early 1960s that located Nelson Mandela in hiding, that led to his arrest and subsequent 27 years in prison. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. When we come back, we'll hear from the former South African Archbishop Desmond Tutu. Stay with us. I'm Amy Goodman. Thanks so much for watching this report from Democracy Now!, your daily, independent, global grassroots news hour. We don't accept advertising or corporate funding, but rather rely on donations from viewers like you. Please make your contribution by visiting democracynow.org today. We need your support today to keep bringing you this hard-hitting, in-depth reporting.